This Parsha, Pekudei, is the stock taking. Moses takes stock of all the contributions, the donations that the Jewish people contributed to the making of the Mishkan, the portal between heaven and earth. Tells us the importance of stock taking, so we know what we have and what we don't have. But perhaps the most major stock taking we need to do is one of life as such, and to identify and prioritize what is indeed important. And there's a very nice teaching within the Hassidic wisdoms that tells us that the important things of life are in inverse proportion to their cost. What do we need most to survive? We need air. How much does air cost? How abundant is it? Very easy to get. What's the next most important aspect to survive? Water. Well, water is not as abundant as air, and it costs a little bit more than air does, but nevertheless plentiful. And then the next most important aspect we need is food. Well, food costs more than water does, and it may be not as abundant as water, but nevertheless, as a consequence, you're able to buy it and eat and survive, certainly the basic staples. And the next most important, clothing. Well, clothing costs more than food does. It's perhaps a little more luxurious, but nevertheless, you need to have the clothing, and clothing needs to be made. It costs more, and you can get it. And what's next most important in life? Shelter, housing. Well, housing is considerably more important, not as important as clothing and as the others were. Nevertheless, we can access it, and you can buy it if you have the money, or rent, etc. And what's perhaps even more costly than that? Jewelry, least important, least accessible, most expensive. So you can see that the things that we have in life that we actually need cost least. This is the way that Hashem organized the world. And therefore you have to ask yourself the question, to achieve the goal that you want, happiness, what are the basic elements that you need to purchase to make them happen? If they're too expensive, let me suggest to you, you need to look at your priorities again, because to achieve happiness, it doesn't really cost much. Think about it. Find it.